It is Tuesday the 9th of June. We're in the off-season pub and it's time for the Cat's Whiskers podcast.
Again.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the first off-season edition of the Cat's Whiskers podcast. As far as you're concerned, unfortunately, this is to be known as the Deja Vu podcast, given that we had some audio gremlins going on last week. So hopefully we're back and ready to go.
I feel like we're missing somebody as well. There's a big spot. Empty next to Paul.
Let's leave that one for now. We'll let him have a grand return when he's available next time, hopefully. So anyway, around the table we have Jono.
Good evening.
We have Ant.
Hey up.
We've got Paul.
Hello.
And we've got Adam.
Hello.
Right, gentlemen. It's been ages since I've seen you.
All week.
a whole week. So we've had to reconstruct the thing we loosely refer to as an agenda. We were able to obviously regather in all the questions that we had. So let's get to it, chaps, and let's see what's what. Very first thing that we want to ask though, Adam. You had a jolly old time in Zurich. Yep. Have you returned with both your kidneys?
Yes, there has been no kidneys sold or harmed in my vacation to Switzerland. Until the credit card bill comes in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, that's going to be the real sting in the tail.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, this kind of leads on to a question sent in to us by one of your travelling companions, Gemma. How was your trip to Zurich and what did you enjoy doing the most?
It was an amazing trip. Really enjoyed it. We had a little bit of experience of Zurich 10 years ago, didn't we? We went out there for the Panthers CHL game when we made it out of our group. First team from the UK to make it out of the group.
The very first.
The very first. They'll never take that from us. But it was...
Where Panthers lead, others follow.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. But no, it was a great time out there. Obviously, it's expensive, so we had to sort of moderate our sort of drinking and eating out. So we were in an apartment, so we were sensible and we sort of bought in provisions from the local supermarket in the neighbourhood. But it was enjoyable, nice time.
Was it Bob suitcase full of cans of Bob's Beans?
Yeah. It wasn't quite as bad as that, Ant, but we were certainly looking for value in the things that we were buying. And it's odd actually because some things out there are quite cheap from supermarkets. So beer's quite cheap if you buy in sort of bulk. So we didn't miss an opportunity to buy, I think, 36 cans on one trip and 24 on the second. And myself and Steve, the other male member of the travelling party, we managed to see through all of those by the end of the trip. So yeah, it was nice. Zurich's beautiful. It's a lovely city. It's just a really, really attractive part of the world. I think a highlight for me, loved going around the FIFA Museum, loved seeing Christian Vieri, very unexpectedly, the Italian legend who's now retired. What a striker he was. So yeah, got to see a Q&A with him at the FIFA Museum. But I think, well, there were two things that really stood out for me. The first one was going out and doing an amazing boat cruise on Lake Zurich. The weather was gorgeous and the scenery is beautiful. We went for about 4.5, 5 hours on the boat. And then the second one was when we went up into the Alps, towards the end of the trip. That was incredible. Just seeing some of those mountains are awe-inspiring, really, how high they are. So, it was brilliant.
I mean, you get exactly the same if you go up to Blackburn.
Oh, I know.
I know. Where they film The Sound of Music.
Yeah, the hills are alive.
The hills are alive,
I mean,
yes.
Yeah, you spent all that money and all that time flying to Zurich and back.
The only difference is you don't have like loads of chimneys at the bottom of the hills and mountains in Switzerland.
Or 10,000 holes.
Yeah. That's a good reference. I'm not sure all the listeners will get it, but...
Beatles reference,
yeah.
for those who don't understand.
Yeah, so an amazing time. The hockey... let's gloss over the hockey. That wasn't quite so good. But it's always an interesting sort of experience to see GB like fight it out on the very highest stage against other hockey super nations and superpowers. This time, maybe it was a tournament too many for some of our players, and we've had a raft of retirements since. So I think really, it's the end of one particular Great British cycle of players, maybe the start of a new generation. Young players coming in, guys from the NIHL getting a look. So but the hockey was okay. It was all right. I mean, it was great to see sort of stars on the other sides. Weird to see Zombor play for Hungary against us, and sadly, Hungary came out on top in that. I say came out on top. They absolutely annihilated us, and that for me was my sort of biggest low of the whole trip. Is just how poor that performance was against Hungary in what was pretty much a must-win game, and that sort of that sealed our fate after the third game.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't start well, did we, the first game? But then there were some impressive performances, certainly from sat in my and watching it on my computer. Yeah. But that Hungary game was just a bag of sugar, to put it politely. Certainly not the only game of the tournament that I turned off early, but at least the other one was to do with I wanted to watch the football, even though it was a dead rubber end of season game.
Well, just a couple of things to come out of that, hockey related. We did have a question in from a friend of the show, Kay Funnell. Can you explain using crayons the IHF men's please and why we went down and who went up, etc.? God,
The floor is mine.
yeah, why not? I mean, you might as well. I mean, look, you're the guy who normally does the homework, so I'm fully expecting that you have a good answer prepared for this.
Okay, so two groups of 7 in the World Championships.
8.
2 groups of 8 in the World Championships. And the team that finishes bottom of each group will get relegated to 1A, with the top 2 teams in 1A then coming up to the World Championship. So we finished bottom of our group, which is why we went down. However, sometimes there is odd caveats included. For example, if Germany had finished bottom, they wouldn't have been relegated as they are hosting the World Championships next season. So in that case, then the worst 2 teams would have been relegated to 1A. So, but that is why we finished bottom of the group, and that is why we got relegated.
Yeah, I mean,
we won't go into the reasons why we finished bottom, because we could probably fill a whole show in that ourselves.
Well, essentially, the other teams scored more goals than we did. Every game.
Yeah, we conceded more goals than most other teams as well. So put those 2 things together. And it wasn't a pretty showing.
The Germany thing is, I mean, I don't think they were ever going to finish bottom because they're a half decent team. But it's like what Jono was saying. It's like next season. Yeah. France hosting the season afterwards. So regardless of where France finish in the group next season, and they're in the same group as us in 1A, they're going to get promoted.
Yep.
Absolute.
It's
not
nonsense. Good. I think the sporting integrity is a bit dubious, to say the least, about that, and it doesn't really make for a fair competition. Because when you win and you might be deprived of promotion because another team finishes beneath you, but is hosting the tournament the following year. That's just not. It doesn't feel right, and I don't know how the IIHF can solve that, because it's been the way for many years now that's just the way it is.
I think the only way of doing it is should you not be in the top group, then I think there's a reserve host who will take it if you're not in the top group, because I think it does make a bit of a mockery of sporting integrity.
Well,
to be honest.
the other thing is, why does the host have to be there? I mean, that's. I know it might sound quite radical, but I mean, why do they have to? Well, it's I mean, don't Champions League games get played in neutral venues and things along that sort of line?
So my observations from that is, when we played Switzerland, the arena was absolutely full to bursting. But we saw games on the television that were taking place in both locations, Freiburg and Zurich, where obviously the hosts were based at Zurich exclusively. But there were lots of games involving GB, for example, where even though the crowd was announced as sort of like 6,000 in an arena that holds 11,000, I'm calling BS on those figures, because it looked more like 4,000 tickets. 6,000 tickets maybe, or 3,000 tickets bought and some given away.
But I mean, it's grown up, haven't we? As looking around the table, football fans, and the host nation always qualifies automatically. Even the holders don't automatically qualify anymore, but the hosts do, and I kind of has to be there. I like Jono's idea with the backup. The backup nation, but it does wonder. It's like, surely with Manchester coming on to this, spoiler alert, with Manchester moving venues, I won't say where, but that's a potential big arena for us to host like big games in the future. And then maybe you look at another, maybe the O2 or something in London could put an ice pad down if it was for a World Championships.
There is an ice pad at the O2.
Well, there we go. So it's not without the realms. Not in the realms of possibility, or whatever the phrase is. I'm getting confused. But we could host a top division game in the future, potentially.
Yeah. Well,
if we've got, but it's money, though, isn't it?
It is money, and I suspect that you probably have to sort of put up quite a considerable amount of money as a bond, really, to actually host a tournament. But
I can imagine Chris Ellis is probably listening to this, making gestures.
Yeah, his eyes are watering at the thought of IHUK having to sort of shell out tens, if not hundreds of thousands.
I know how much work went into hosting that 1A tournament at Nottingham, so it's and even the Continental Cup in January, it's a hell of a lot of organisation and logistics.
Yeah, I suppose my last word on this would be, if you did have two big arenas hosting a World Championships, you've got to make sure that you're going to be able to fill those two venues for most games. Is the demand going to be there for it? If you had, I don't know, is it 17,000 seats in Manchester and about the same at the O2? Maybe if Canada and the US were playing in the games, there might be enough expats to fill the arena that are interested in the games. But if you get sort of two of the more minor top-level nations play, you might only play to sort of like 5,000, and it might only be a quarter full.
Well, I would think you'd have to have one based in London, so either that'd be the O2 or Wembley. Yeah. Then you're looking at a different one, so maybe Manchester, but is Manchester in that regard too big at 17,000? You may be looking at somewhere like the Motorpoint at 7,000, because that probably would be the ideal size.
Yeah, maybe. Just another thing to come out of this tournament. Towards the end of the tournament, both Robert Dowd and Ben Bounds announced their international retirement. We did talk about this last week, but also, obviously Adam's already kind of alluded to it, that maybe it was a kind of a tournament too far for one or two. And obviously, Bounds and Dowd have kind of maybe come to that conclusion themselves and decided, to sort of focus on their domestic careers for however long they intend to continue playing. The last GB game, obviously, the rumours had already sort of started to spark, because the team did a tunnel for Bounds and Dowd, and just there was like some subtle stick taps for Josh Tetlow as he kind of went down the tunnel, but it wasn't really a held tunnel for him. So there was already speculation that perhaps Tetlow was going to be following. As it turns out, as sort of spoiler alert for the rest of some of the rest of the podcast, Josh Tetlow was going to be announcing his full retirement from hockey. So a lot of changes that are going to be coming into GB. I think, Adam, I just want to touch on something because, as I say, this is the Deja Vu podcast. You cited Bailey Harewood as being somebody who you'd been quite impressed with over the tournament.
I was impressed with him. I thought his energy was great. And it looked like he really wanted to prove himself and show that he belonged on that stage. And okay, for pure quality, he isn't quite on the same level as some of the other players that he would have come up against, in the tournament. But for me, I don't think he looked out of place. He was full of energy. He always wanted to do something when he was out on the ice. A very, very aggressive forechecker. I think his energy and his sort of intensity was infectious. So it's great to see someone like him, break out at World Championships. And since we had our aborted podcast last week, he is signed full-time for the Cardiff Devils.
Which,
So,
a move which you thought you had already seen, and so some kind of mystic Meg.
it was in the tea leaves. I had a cup of tea at work one day, and I got to the bottom, and the tea leaves showed me that Bailey Harewood had signed for Cardiff.
So when we did this podcast this time last week, Adam did sort of say, he signed for Cardiff, and it turns out that he hadn't, and we sort of corrected that on the recording, and then about 2 days later he did. So
I am Cardiff Devils chief scout. There we are. I've been outed.
Adam's working in cahoots with the Cardiff Devils. So essentially GB have been relegated. It's kind of we're in a yo-yo situation, really, aren't we? Towards the top of the group below, but not quite there for the group above. So it'll be interesting to see, because as we've already sort of said, there's a bit of a golden generation that are now not available to be selected for GB. So we'll have to see how the team bounces back without some of those people. Right, okay, chaps, we'll move on to some Panthers news we need to catch up with. It has been a long time. So way back in April, we had some not unexpected news that Mitch Fossier had decided to call time on his career. Adam had a little cry because the man crush was strong with this one. But I think it was clear after that incident in Fife, he wasn't the same player when he came back after injury, and I think we would have liked to have seen Fossier, be a bit of a long-term legacy Panthers player, because we know what he was capable of, but sadly it wasn't to be. So that was first bit of news post our last podcast. Followed up shortly afterwards by the fact by the re-signing of Captain Alfaro. So Matt Alfaro will be returning. Hopefully, we can have a season fully fit, because I think he really did take on the captain's mantle really well. Sam Hale left big shoes to fill, and I think Matt Alfaro did a solid job.
Well, you led us to two trophies.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay. Then it was announced that Jason Grande was departing for Marc Lefebvre's Anglet, or Anglais. I don't know. Because I have butchered that pronunciation quite spectacularly. And at the time, it left a bit of a question mark on goaltending, because Kevin Carr is continuing to still trying to sell all of his kit, so it's looking increasingly unlikely that he's going to come back. Paul, you've not said a lot yet, so just talk to us about the goalie situation, because obviously, we know what's coming, and we know we've signed a replacement, but the loss of Carr and Grande.
I was going to say, do you want this with or without spoilers?
I mean, at this point, I don't think it really matters.
I think everybody knows, to be fair.
And if they don't, check their emails.
Yeah, like I did in my in my deleted folder, unread.
I was convinced I hadn't had it. So I was just happily going on. I haven't had the message, and then I checked and I had. But I mean, Grande, first season Grande played out of his skin. He was everything when the injury hit Bednard, he was everything we wanted and more.
Yep.
And I mean, off the back of that, we probably had to offer him a contract. And this season, I don't think he quite hit the same sort of heights as he did before. But then again, we also had we had Kevin Carr. I'll get used to these names in a minute. Who did come in, who came in and was able to play and got the results for us.
Well, I think the expectation was that Grande was going to be the number one and Kevin Carr was going to
be the number two.
Was going to be the understudy, but that's not really how it ended up.
We ended up as a sort of 1A and 1B, which is sort of what you're really looking for if you want that goalkeeping tandem. And with them possibly going, now we've got now we've announced that Matt Robson's coming in from Coventry, where I thought at times in Coventry he was like a cheat code. He was doing things that shouldn't really have been done. But,
Statement.
Obviously, we're going to have to see how it goes. But
I'm nicking what Jono said last week. It is a statement signing, Robson.
Yeah.
To take one of the top goalies from a rival team in the league. I just wonder how he's going to transition from being, predominantly playing in that small Timu arena to playing in front. A bigger ice pad and everything in Nottingham. But I mean, he certainly did all right against us. So
well, exactly, he did all right against us. But I mean, how much bigger or smaller is the ice pad in Coventry?
56 by 27.
What's that in English?
I have no idea.
56
by 27.
Whatever that.
I think I'm assuming it's a similar size to what Cardiff used to play on. I don't know, maybe.
But he came.
It's not Olympic size.
60-30 is Olympic size.
All right, he came into Nottingham. He played all right then. I mean, I've seen people on the various forums.
Well, he's probably the main reason the cup final went to overtime, right?
Yeah.
Because we were the better team, regardless of who was the home team. But Robson was, he had a stellar game, and I hope to see. I hope we bring in a strong 1B to give him that support, because I don't want to see Robson playing 60 odd games next season, unless he is lights out like Grande was towards the end of last season. Not towards when he first came in last season. But
at the end of the day, we've showed Coventry we can nick their Challenge Cup final, and we can also nick their netminder. What else? What else have they? Anybody else they've got that we want?
No.
Moving on.
Yes. Before we were keeping count of who we were upsetting last week, and I think you're off to a fine start there, chaps. Keeping to the timeline. Then we had the following day after it was announced that Grande was departing. One of our owners re-signed, Ollie Betteridge, for his 11th season with the Panthers now. That's a no-brainer signing, quite frankly. I thought he had a really good year last year. I think with it being his testimonial year, he kind of, I don't know, he just seemed to have a little bit of a step up, quite frankly, I think. I was chuffed at what I was seeing from him last season.
Well, Ollie's a player who can play all down. He can play first line if you need him to. He's predominantly going to lead that fourth line, but he can go up in lines. So we know he can score goals. He's got a bit of never say die about him. Again, it's like Kelsall. Why wouldn't you re-sign him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. Go on, Adam. Did you want to jump in?
I totally agree, and I don't want to sort of harp back to the World Champs again, but I think, again, Betteridge was one of our better players. He always shows up for GB, always. He gives everything for that shirt, and it's good to see that continuity of Brits at the Panthers. And I'm not sort of suggesting that you keep the Brits for keeping the Brits' sake, because if they're not very good, then perhaps you do need to move them on. But I don't think anyone's got any sort of doubts about Ollie's pedigree. He plays well for us year in, year out. He's become one of the leaders on the team as well. And I guess in the locker room, his experience is really valuable, especially to sort of like help with the new guys that come into that locker room. So, yeah, it's great to have him back.
He'd walk into, any team's roster in this league, bar none. There are, some high quality Brits around. You're looking at like the Conways and the Dowds, but they're getting on in years now as well. But every single team in the league would snap your hands off if Ollie Betteridge was available.
Totally agree. Yeah.
We can't have him in his hours, so rest of you can just sod off. Right, so Panthers were going at a bit of a pace at this point and announced Patrick Larkin signing, who you kind of feel like he's your Finlay Ulrich replacement. And it's an interesting one because I think now for a couple of 3 years we've been on this kind of scouting mission for British players who have gone abroad who haven't really sort of burst through and made a name for themselves in North America, and they're looking to come home.
Have Coventry got any Brits we can sign?
I mean, who knows?
Archie Hazeldine's gone to MK, hasn't he?
Yes.
Which surprises me. I mean, we'll come on to his brother in a bit, no doubt, but I always thought he had a lot of upside. So it does surprise me in moving, although he is playing for Pete Russell, isn't he?
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know. But it's like, I don't know why you'd take that step down to a semi-pro league unless you had...
I've got nothing to base this on, but I feel like Pete Russell has got more ambition than the NIHL. So I feel like we could see... again, nothing to base it on, but it was just my initial impression when they first signed Pete Russell as head coach.
Getting set up ready to be the even team when Dublin come in.
They'd announce it at playoffs, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's what normally happens.
But I think Archie...
Now, obviously I don't mean now, but yeah, I feel like he might lay the groundwork.
I mean, it's possible. It'd be good to see. I mean, it was a good couple of years, trips down there. Yeah. Although the sightlines in that rink, it's like the old Tottenham Stadium, isn't it, Jono?
Pete Russell was the coach of MK when they were in the elite.
Yep, he was.
Yeah, forget about that. I mean, I'd take Hopkins back if we could find a spot for him. Definitely at Coventry. Going back to who we could nick from Coventry.
Yeah, but he's re-signed for Cov. So.
Yeah, I know. But like, if you could, but with the import limits as they are, where does he fit in? Would you take Hopkins over Kelsall, Betteridge?
No.
Well, no, because Kelsall is your perfect utility player. He can do everything. He's like a Swiss Army knife. He's just really handy to have in all eventualities. So I think you need someone like a Kelsall who can play on the blue line, but also equally and effectively play as a forward too.
Jordan plays a role.
Yeah.
He's a jigsaw piece.
Yeah.
And he plays that role perfectly. He's a fantastic role player. Just going back to Patrick Larkin for a second. I mean, he's had 4 seasons in youth sports, which is a very high standard university league in Canada. So, I'm quite optimistic about his signing and what he'll bring to the team. I think it's a very good pickup by Omar and Danny for us, and I feel old because I remember his dad Brian playing for Swindon. He was in my fantasy league team in the Ice Hockey News Review. That's how long we're going back.
Wow.
Jono Bullard, you old.
Very. 12 years off pension age.
Not that you're counting or anything.
He says now, but by the time he gets to pension age, it'll be about 78.
Well, probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's ever increasing, isn't it? Gosh, let's get back to the hockey, before we get all political or whatever. So following on from Patrick Larkin, it was announced, and I'll be honest, I felt like this was one that could go either way, that Chase Pearson was coming back, which I think is great. I said that's really smart, getting him locked in early, so that nobody else has got the chance to sort of wriggle their way in there, because every other elite league team's got to be looking at him. Particularly our neighbours up the road. But yeah, that's smart. Really looking forward to seeing what year 2 Chase Pearson's going to do.
He loves it here, and it was obvious how much he loved it here last season. He totally bought into everything, and I think second season as well. He knows what to expect. There's going to be no surprises for him on the sort of schedule or the standard. But he was such a good player for us. Highest goal scorer with 26. Just great at forechecking, great at keeping the puck. And yeah, I mean, for me, it was an obvious re-signing.
And I mean, Danny Stewart, head coach, just to be give me his full title, has got the ability now to really recruit with Pearson in mind. You know, to try and pair him up with two really complementary forwards who can, you know, get the absolute most out of Chase. You know,
Pearson is one of those who could be a franchise player. You know, he's the sort of player you would look at building a team around. I think. I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels, but
No, I mean, I said it last season. It's like with Pearson, it's almost like the Liam Kirk in GB in the Worlds, going, you know, linking it all together. Kirk didn't maybe have as an effective tournament because you knew he was the star player. You shut him down, and then that sort of stopped GB. And where we did well last season was the games where Pearson so-called had a so-called lesser game, because he was being man-marked, but then that frees up space for your teammates to then take advantage of, and we did. Hence the reason we finished with 2 trophies in the bag. So yeah, it's a great re-signing, and you know, I'll be honest, the red light thing, it does, and it also stops bugs coming in your room. Yeah, so you know, we have that spot of warm weather, and you have your light on in your bedroom because it gets dark, and if you've got your windows open, you look up and your ceiling's covered in flies and think, no, change it to a red light, no bugs. There we go. Genius.
Red light therapy, also good for avoiding creepy crawlies, right? And that's so endorsed by Aunt Mary John. Okay, so next signing up, again, as I say, Panthers are sort of, you know, been working at a bit of a pace early on in the off-season. The signing that our mate Frankie was most looking forward to, again, one of our own, not a massive surprise, but one that you definitely won, Jordan Kelsall. We've already talked about him, you know, the Swiss Army knife of the Panthers.
Yeah, what more can you say?
Says.
He's you know, again, Kelsall is a player that would walk into any other, you know, team in the league. So yeah,
and
he does the lot.
And Adam was busy celebrating with him at Wembley when Notts got promoted.
He's had a good few weeks, hasn't he? Because he's seen his football team get promoted to League One. I think he's due to get married any time now. It might have already happened, I don't know, but is he?
it's definitely this summer.
Yes.
Well, congratulations to.
Yes, congratulations in advance.
Congratulations, Jordan and Laura Jo.
Yes, exactly.
In advance, but
Yeah.
have a lovely time. Saw some of the photos from Laura Jo's hen do. Spot art, yeah. So that hen do done right.
But yeah, look, I can't really say a lot more than I already have about Jordan. I think he's a real asset to the team. You know, he's part of the fixtures and fittings in a good way. You know, and hopefully we see a lot more of what he's brought to the team next season as well. So I like the look of our Brits this year. I think it's shaping up well. I mean, it was a bit of a blow for Tetlow retiring. I don't think anyone quite saw it. You know, retiring at 28, that's a young age. But we don't know how long ago that was sort of conveyed to Danny. You know, it might have been something that they've spoken about for, you know, a few months ahead that's allowed Danny to sort of put that contingency planning in place and start thinking about, you know, bringing another British D-man to the club. I won't mention his name because, you know,
Well, no, I mean,
about him soon.
yeah. Well, I mean, we've already talked about him, so you know, it's fine. You know, we're jumping around a bit. It's not a problem.
Yeah, but I mean, Joe Hazelden is a top end Brit D-man, and I think it's an absolute coup for Panthers to get him back here because, you know, he's gone away. He went to Manchester, went to Glasgow more recently, you know, and he's become a star performer in the Elite League. And you know, I think like we were talking about with Chase Pearson, you know, you show me another Elite League team that would turn down the chance to sign Joe Hazelden because he's just absolutely rock solid back on that blue line.
Well, there's another thing. I mean, Jono and I were having a conversation just then off mic that Tina frowned at us about.
Of course I did. It's like herding toddlers, you lot.
But you know, if you look, Kelsall, Betteridge, Hazelden, the Nottingham boys as well. So we've got. So not only are they not homegrown British players, they are Panthers through and through, and that's great to see. But yeah, I mean, Joe's had certainly last season. I thought he came on leaps and bounds, and yes, we'll miss Tetlow. I certainly will. You know, top lad, and wish him the very best of luck in whatever. I kind of want him to sign in the NIHL part-time, because then maybe somewhere local, because then maybe we could get him on a cheeky two-way if we need some backup there. But no, bringing in Joe Hazeldine's it's a big signing, and I think adds a lot of quality to our backline.
Well, that's an interesting point you make, actually, Anne, because I mean, it's not like it's something that's unheard of. Because Sheffield have done it. They've had players from the Steel Dogs for plugging up some gaps in their lineup, and just as I want to say just a like off the wall thought that popped into my head. When Tom Norton left Panthers, he went to play in Peterborough. Yeah. He's still there. So it's like, we perhaps that's something that could maybe be explored.
He's like a club legend at Peterborough now. Yeah. I think he's had a testimony. He's their captain, and he's like part of the furniture.
Yeah, and so it's not a terrible suggestion,
Well, like you said, I mean, it was Chewett, wasn't it, at Sheffield, that sort of resigned for him temporarily, ended up spending the rest of the season, and like I say, they've done it with a few. Jonathan Phillips came back for a couple of games, didn't he, and so on and so forth. So if you've got the ability to, and they want to,
but I've got a feeling there's a rule in place now where I think it can only be under 23 players. But I think it might just be under 23 players that you can have on a two-way. I need to check the rule book, but just something went off in the back of my head.
That makes sense. It makes sense. So you can just basically just forget about the last 5 minutes of this podcast, and we'll just talk about who's next on the agenda.
Well, next on the agenda, actually, as I say, we've sort of rattled around a little bit. So we're going to talk about the old Panthers email snafu that we've kind of alluded to already, and I think everybody's aware of it now. That Panthers mistakenly sent out an email which revealed what you'd expect to be some deadline day signings. You coming up to the season ticket renewal deadline, you have to think that there was a schedule, because with that email, specifically with it revealing that Joe Hazeldine had been re-signed, that then basically just threw it wide open, and everybody's first reaction was, what about Tetlow? And so, I think I suspect it was going to be the Tetlow and retirement announcement would have come first, and then everything else would have been drip fed.
The Weaver signing when we announced that we were releasing Danny Myers, wasn't it? But I actually think if it was done on purpose, which I don't think it was, but what a genius! And Jono's shaking his head vigorously here. But for me, I quite liked it as a way to like get these cheeky signing announcements out, because they were Hazeldine and Robson were two big signings. Yeah. Never mind John Ball, also coming back as part of it. But yeah, because it's like our old mucker Kevin Moore. He's from speaking to like some friends of the down in Coventry. He doesn't want to do any of these pre-season signing announcements. He just wants the team to turn up on game day one and then be announced there. And then this is harking back to the old Gary Moran hotline, isn't it? Where you used to have to ring them up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get the latest signing news, or get the football post, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, basically, the Panthers used to put press releases out at about 7 in the morning, so that it was then in the paper that day.
Later on, it used to be midnight. They used to get released. It used to be on the website at midnight.
So you could hack in and find stuff.
Shut up. No, because
you're denying it, are you?
Yes, very much so.
He did it.
So back when we had the on just the online version of Cat's Whiskers, because I used to stay up till like midnight every night, and when one would appear, and then I'd just write a quick something for the Cat's Whiskers website and pop it out with signed display.
Discovering the fact that the actual articles were numbered.
And that was years. That was years before that. That was back in the Super League days.
I mean, all this really has has shown us is that you need better email security or a better scheduler. Because all it did was tell us what's coming in a week after, all in one go, and it was very nice to hear, very nice to know.
I mean, the social media team did. The social media team did. They sort of owned it, didn't they? I mean, I quite like that little video that they put out. Taking the mickey out themselves somewhat, but like I say, I quite like getting the email announcement like that. And Tina Taylor will never delete her emails ever again without reading them first.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say, well, me and Paul.
I didn't delete it. I just didn't think I got it. That was my excuse when I used to work as well.
I think they did start it out really, really well, to be fair to them. And, the ability to maybe sort of look at yourself and poke fun at yourself, I think it's a really good skill to have. It's a good trait to have. And I know it probably wasn't sort of by design, but in the end, I think they pulled it round enough to the degree that, most fans found it quite funny, actually, even though it probably ruined the Panthers' plans to sort of generate that level of excitement on the days leading up to the season ticket deadline.
Yeah, most definitely.
Do you think any other clubs would have sort of styled it out to the same degree as Panthers?
I think if they didn't, then they need to think about it. It's almost like having a disaster recovery plan, isn't it? You have to know what to do when there's a crisis. And I suppose in terms of media output, that was a bit of a crisis.
I mean, well, them lot up the road would have put up some AI generated nonsense.
Picture of Steeler down it's photoshopped into some country.
Or an orange arena with a load of ironically six-fingered people walking down the road, and that's an AI image. That's not me saying anything else. Guildford would have put some, because Guildford did a lot of AI rubbish last season. I seem to remember with some of their stuff.
Isn't Guildford just AI in general?
Well, yeah, that's what we're saying. Until you go on, until you go away with GB, apparently. So
and then all the fans come out of the woodwork. But no, we've all been to Guildford, haven't we? So we do know it exists.
Yeah, but all the fans that go there are paid for. They're
Paid
not real.
actors.
It's essentially the Matrix. That's
I think Coventry. Coventry probably would have done something amusing. I think a few of the teams would have done, something quite amusing.
I think you're right about Coventry. I think they've built up quite a good social media pedigree over the last few years. Prior to Chris Ellis coming in to Panthers and putting together the team that he's put together.
Commentator's a joke.
That's rude. I didn't hear what you said at first, but I put it together. That's
so
rude.
easy, just there. I mean,
He sat right there, man. He sat right there.
Yeah. Sheffield had probably got Dave Sims out to rollick all the people who passed comment on it.
Shots fired.
Last week it was Jono doing all the upsetting, and then you had to catch him up as we went on. I think you're about 19-1 up at the moment today. So, long may it continue.
Behold the field.
Yeah, behold that field in which I grow. If you want to hear the rest of that, come and ask me and Jono in bunkers at some point next season. Email snafu aside, we have signed Joe Hazeldine, Jean Bourgarat and Matt Robson. Jean Bourgarat after he wrote a status, they did a post on Instagram that basically looked like he was saying goodbye.
Troll in the dungeon.
Yes, what a troll! Oh, what a troll, Jean Bour.
Did you see the reply after he signed though on Instagram?
Yes.
Not done yet. That was superb.
Beautiful. Yeah, really enjoyed that. But we did spend a bit of time talking about Jean Bourgarat last week, and I feel like he deserves, that same treatment this time around.
Well, it was perfectly set up for that Wolf of Wall Street clip, wasn't it? Really, with Jean Paul going, and without maybe the swearing, obviously, but nice to see that they did. The social media team saw sense and did use the obvious clip that to do it. But what a re-signing! Comes in a couple of months down the line, a couple of seasons ago, the leading plus minus
Plus 77 in his career. That's ridiculous.
Inhumane.
A lot of that can go to like who he's on the ice with and what have you. But he plays first line D, and again, it's just quality, absolute quality. I mean, you look at who we've re-signed. What a core to build around to mount this title challenge.
For me, he is one of, if not the best defenseman in the league. He's up there with the likes of Cormier at Sheffield, Estes at Devils, Mike Lee at Belfast, who is exceptional because Mike Lee was Belfast's top point scorer last season. And
he was great in my
from
fantasy hockey team as well.
Oh, he got me a lot of points last season. But Jono Bullard, he's got it all. He's very good offensively, defensively absolutely superb. As that plus 77 rating shows, he's just so pleased he came back. So pleased.
I am as well. He's probably one of the guys I wanted back the most this season. So it was a bit slightly upsetting to sort of like by the sort of tease that he threw out there for us all that suggested that he might be off to pastures new. But no, honestly, whenever Garrett's there, whenever John Bullard's there on the ice, I don't feel panicked in any way.
Nope.
I feel like he just has it all under control, and there's never any sort of any sort of concern, any worry. He just plays a really smart game.
This is the point last week where the song came on in the background.
Yes,
and they've let us down.
Let's see what's played next.
It's not.
It's not. No. Sadly, it's not Zombie.
No, but funny enough, when Jumbo put that Instagram post out, I remember seeing something on the artist formerly known as Twitter from a Sheffield fan. I can't remember which one it was, but it was basically someone sleeping with how I sleep at night, knowing Dominic Cormier has re-signed and Jono Bullard has left the Panthers. Ha!
That aged well. So we've got a good core.
Cormier's not a bad re-signing though, is he? He's a very good player.
I mentioned him in that group. You've got Jono Bullard, Dominic Cormier, Brendan Estes. I don't know whether he's back coming back to Cardiff.
Well, that's Adam. Adam seems to know everything about Cardiff.
Adam
Mike Lee at Belfast. That
Lee's quality.
Yeah.
I'll just slip away and give Tomo a quick call. Got him on speed dial.
No, look, just consult the crystal ball, man. We know you're a psychic.
I think you probably had Brian Diffley at Sheffield as well to that group as well. But yeah, he's a top one of the top D-men in the league.
Yep. So Panthers have made some good strides. We've got Robson in net. Garrett and Hazeldine are our defensemen currently. Alfaro, Betteridge, Kelsall, Larkin, Pearson. Decent. Tidy that. Yep. Absolutely tidy.
Estes hasn't been announced yet. Not according to elite prospects anyway.
I don't know. Adam's looking very coy.
We talked about Matt Robson.
Yeah. I think so.
You were at the bar.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, you missed that. You were busy getting the beers in, mate.
Great sign.
Yeah.
Great sign.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, the one, well, sort of slight benefit maybe of the podcast not going ahead, well, not being able to be produced and sent out into the world last week, we have a little bit more news that's happened. So Panthers announced the demand for season tickets was so high they've had to introduce a cap on the new season tickets. That's incredible, quite frankly. We know it's been a good season for renewals, and with there being a limit on how many new season tickets there can be, I mean, that just says it all. It says it all. So I think we're in for some good games. We should be in for a good atmosphere.
Busy games.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having my new seat where I can actually get in and out the arena at a decent time instead of having to queue up for half an hour to get out at the end of the game now. But yeah, I mean, it's on the back of what we've said previously. It started with Omar coming in and like you say, one of the things he fixed quite early on was the social media side, bringing Chris in, who's brought in his team and everything. and then it's just built on steady from there. And then we brought Lord Danny in, and almost a final piece of the puzzle. And when we're league champions at this time next season, and
He's starting already, isn't he?
well, it's going to happen.
In all seriousness, you only got to listen to all the re-signing and signing interviews, and every single one of them say about going for the league championship. It's very noticeable in every interview that is very much the point that everyone is making about now going for the league.
I get that, but one thing I would say is we've heard this before, and I'm very much of a I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, but and I can actually see where you're coming from, but it seems to be very much an ambition now of the organisation. Like, right, we've won the playoffs, we won the 2 trophies last season. Yeah. Now we have to go for the big one, and it's going to be very difficult because you've got a team in Belfast who have re-signed a core of players who have been there and done it, and a coach who's been there and done it and knows how to get it done. And I think. And
invariably they'll have a crap ton of home games in the second half of the season, like they always do.
Yeah, but
every single year.
That's just due to arena scheduling because of the things. But
you apologist.
If you finish above Belfast, I think you're league champions.
Yeah. No, I get that. I totally get that. I mean, I keep looking at the signings they make and the re-signings that Belfast are making, and you think, damn. I wish he would have gone overseas to one of the higher calibre leagues in Europe. But I think you're right. There's just something building, Jono. There's like I was going to say quiet momentum, but it's more than a quiet momentum now. We've got trophies in the trophy cabinet. The league is sort of like the Holy Grail. We want that league. I'm sure Danny wants that league because he's probably the most competitive guy in that building.
So
he's desperate.
Jono's already said Belfast. So do Sheffield. Born and bred on league titles.
Yeah, and
Cardiff are going to be. They've got to justify that season that ticket price rise, haven't they? Somehow.
The thing is, as well, Manchester have entered
Manchester have joined the arena chat.
Exactly. So they now. I mean, I think I said this last week. We sort of. It's not going to be instant, and if it is, then fair play to them, and they'll have absolutely come from nowhere. Essentially, but they're going to have a say in it now. I think because they've got they're going to have the resources, they're going to have the arena, they're going to be in the conversation, and if they're not, then
but Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, exactly.
They've got a small but loyal fan base. Sure. How many of those will go across from Altrincham to the AO in Manchester? I don't know because it's not
their
exactly...
season ticket sales have gone very, very well by all accounts.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's good that their ticket season. Ticket season. Oh dear, I've had a few long days recently.
It's ticket season. No, it's Wabbit season.
Yeah, no, it's great that their season ticket sales have been really strong, in these early days. But you just don't know where it's going to cap out. Obviously, they need a strong promotional and marketing campaign to really sort of hammer home ice hockey as a sport across Manchester. But you know what? There's a lot of people that would have gone to watch Storm years ago when they were based out of the MEN Arena, as I remember it, who, this might be a perfect opportunity for them to get back into the sport again. They might have been young then, grown up, had families, got married, life took them elsewhere, but now they're ready to come back and watch ice hockey again.
Yeah, well, that's the point, isn't it? They're going to be in a central city location, and it makes them more accessible.
And we benefit from that in the motor point.
Yeah, but to be fair, asset for us. Yeah, but Altrincham, you just jump on a tram, and it's easily accessible. So. Yeah, I get that. But they were, they were practically selling out, weren't they, last season, which is, great for them. Good luck to them. But just to circle back to Belfast just briefly, what they've done well is something that I think Cardiff didn't do well. When Cardiff had their little run and they kept re-signing that core, they never refreshed that core. Yeah. You've still got Joey Martin's still a very, very good player, but how, they're going to have him to be putting him in cryogenics and stuff. Next time, and then whereas Belfast, they sort of they'll re-sign a core, re-sign a core, re-sign a core, and then they'll keep refreshing that while keeping a core, and maybe that's what we're starting to see from us as well. Yes, we've lost Fossier, but Pearson's now here for his second season. I'd like to think there's maybe 1, 2, maybe even 3 or 4 potential re-signees still yet to be announced from our side as well. So
Tim Doherty, please.
yeah, definitely. And I'd love Hembram back as well, just for the this is a whole different podcast.
Well, I mean, I think we sort of talked about that briefly at the end of the season, didn't we? About who we'd like to see back. So a bit of the most recent news. I've obviously upset him so much by calling him 2-inch armour that he's decided to leave. Ross Armour has moved up to our former little sister, the Glasgow Clan. Now, I think I share a similar sentiment, and I suspect you guys around the table potentially do as well, that as long as you keep him away, further than 2 foot away from the net, you're golden. Quite frankly, he scored goals. He did score goals, but they were close in. And yes, he's a sniper around the net, but you keep him up by the hash marks and even close to the blue line as you possibly can, and it really will limit his chances.
Somebody's got to be there to finish it. Go on, sorry.
No, basically, what we need is a defence that does its job. A defence that can clear the crease, clear the zone. It's their job. Get the players out. Keep the likes of Armour 3 or 4 foot back, and you're laughing probably.
Yeah.
I mean, by the sound of it, he's improved to Wayne Gretzky standards. And if you listen to Clan fans, I'm doing it again, aren't I?
There you go, upsetting people again.
I know, I better stop.
Well, you're not wrong though. I mean, I can understand their excitement, because he did score goals.
He scored 21 goals. I think any team, if they're pulling in a 21 goal scorer from and all his goals were Elite League. He didn't actually score a goal in the Challenge Cup, believe it or not, or in the Continental Cup, but he scored 21 in the Elite League. So you bring in a player who can score 20 plus goals, you're gonna be. I can understand that. I can understand their excitement.
He needs the players around him, though, doesn't he? He's not. From what I saw last season, he's not one that would go out and create something himself. I mean, he did become a joke, didn't he? About did he score all his goals you add up? Did he actually, if you put them the distance together, did he get to the the halfway line or whatever? But I mean, if Clan have a couple of players around him that can create that space and get the assist in there, then he will score goals for him.
He needs a David Ling. That's what he needs, a provider. He needs a David Ling. If Clan can sign somebody like David Ling, who will just find you on the ice.
I'd still sign David Ling today.
He's probably still playing, to be fair. No, I mean, for me, Ross Armour scored a hat-trick against Sheffield, so...
Yeah.
Is that why you've got the
status?
And that's why Jono has we know what Jono's secret tattoo is on his butt cheek now.
Yeah. Don't ask him to show you that in bunkers. Okay, let's.
He will. He will show you.
For a price.
Yeah, of course. I've lost my.
Well, that went off. That went on a tangent, didn't it?
Yeah, there's an image I can never get out of my head. A few.
On my butt. That's it.
There's somewhere else.
Right, before we get into the seedy locations of Jono's tattoo or not tattoo, let's move on to a few more bits and bobs of Elite League news. So we've already talked about Storm announcing the move to the AO. Critchlow's been confirmed as returning as head coach. And I feel like this is the first time in quite a while that we've been so early on in a season, in an off-season, where every single team has got their head coach in place. I feel like sometimes there's like one or two that leave and there's a bit of a gap and then there's a scramble for players and what have you.
Interesting appointment in Dundee.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't know anything about him.
Well,
I don't know if anybody
nobody
else
does.
does round the table, and I'm getting
No.
head shaking at me. But
No.
well,
So-
I think you said it last week, and I can't remember what you said, Tina, about first time a coach from outside the league. Yeah, it's going to be tough for him in Dundee, I think.
It always is, I think.
Baptism of fire.
Yeah, very much so. But, so if I just kind of run through, so Mike Sarant, who finished the season at the Clan, has re-signed. He's then subsequently brought in Steve Burnstill as his assistant coach. So I'm good. Again, I am going to butcher this pronunciation, even though I've listened to a bit of the interview with the Dundee coach that Swanee did. Scott Dutertre. And I'm sure I've got it wrong.
Sounds too much like Todd Dutiam to me. Has someone just scrambled the letters together and produced a new coach that's like a prototype?
Yeah, but DTM wouldn't go to Dundee.
No, absolutely
we
not.
know that for sure.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, he's signed as the head coach in the Stars at the Stars, and has then poached Ben Brown and Keaton Jameson from Fife. So he's already upset the Fife fans. So
It's been a bit of a merry-go-round up there, I think. What I've
Yeah.
seen certainly with the Brits, Fife have nicked a few.
Ben Brown's gone to Dundee as well.
that's what I've just said.
Sorry, did you?
I just said that.
Attention, Mr. Bullard.
I think Five. Just quickly going on to Five. I think they look very interesting. I think.
Well, I didn't even get to the part where I said Tim Wallace has been signed as the Five Flyers head coach.
Yeah, so someone who's obviously coached the Elite League before and knows what he's doing, but I think Fife have gone down the young and hungry route, and that'll be very interesting to see. I mean, obviously it's a gamble, but I think if it pays off, they could surprise a few people next season.
Well, the thing about Tim Wallace, he's been a coach long enough now. Is he's got a bit of a a file of facts, hasn't he? He's got a bit of a little black book of hockey players that he can consult from, and he'll have contacts, and he knows what he's doing. So
I don't think Five can afford to have two really bad seasons back to back.
No.
That is just they'll go into a doom spiral as an organisation, and you really worry that.
Well, no, I mean they've had two.
Well, they've had to, of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if they have another one, after last year and all the problems that sort of beset the organisation, people quitting, controversies about, Pride Night, and they need a better year this year. But the competition and the level and the standards are as high as ever in the Elite League, so it's going to be really hard for them to sort of even fight it out for making that last playoff spot.
Well, I think certainly from a Panthers fan base. I mean, there was some ill feeling towards Fife. I think last year with you've touched on the pride stuff. I know the Lucic re-signing. He's now retired. Announced his retirement. I'm sure that was on your thing, and I've just ruined Tina's agenda again.
no, not really.
He's a Bruins legend.
He
Flames
was.
legend. Yeah. He came in with some baggage. Let's shall say.
And that's why I say he was.
Yeah. So, and now I have lost my train of thought. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there was some ill feeling towards Five, and I know a lot of our fan base was upset with the injury that Fossier got. I've said it again. It was a hockey played. It's just unfortunate. It was an unfortunate result of a hit. What happens in the game, but with Timmy Wallace being, you can't not call him Timmy Wallace, can you? With Wallace being there, I hope his first game back, he gets a really, really good reception from our fans. Don't forget, there'll be a lot of fans in that arena that probably can't remember Tim Wallace as our head coach. And it was only 4 or 5 years ago. He won us the COVID Cup. And he hates the Steelers. He hates the Blaze. We won't sing the rest. We won't sing the rest. But no,
that's another one to ask us about in bunkers.
yeah, like I say, I hope he gets a really, really good reception on his first and subsequent trips back to Nottingham, and then I hope we also send him packing back up to Scotland with a 9-0 defeat. But that's what I want for everybody.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, guys, we'll try and quickly plough through some of these questions that we've had. Jono, I feel like I might be handing this to you in a moment. So Michael Woods has been in touch on Facebook. As someone fairly new to hockey, how many Brits do you need in a squad and on game night? What constitutes a Brit? Not Robson, but Larkin's okay. What's our Brit pack looking like? Do we need further signings? I mean, the answer to that last one, probably like one, maybe.
Netminder. Right, okay, so Brit signings. It's a really strange area where the fact is if you are born in Britain, you are not necessarily a British player, depending on where you played your junior hockey. So I think the best example I can give of this is Brett and Brendan Pellini. So Brett Pellini played 2 years under 11s and above in the EIHA junior system. Hence, he classes as a fully fledged British player. His brother Brendan, who of course played in the NHL, didn't. I think he played one season at Guildford Juniors, and then moved back to Canada, and therefore he does not count as British. So they could play on the same team.
It's nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah, they could
It's
play on the
nonsense,
same team,
You
whereas
got
Brett would be British and Brendan would be classed as a...
Old Boris made a big thing out of these blue passports, and you've got these players coming around, waving their blue passports, and and they're not even eligible to be classed as British. But that's a rant.
But I think there is some merit to it. The fact that you did learn your hockey trade in this country. But yeah, I'm very much of the. I think if you're born here and you play here and you want to play for Great Britain, then I think you should be classed as British. But
I don't think that's necessarily the problem. I think me and Ant were probably going for the mic at the same time then, because I think that it's more an issue of how you are classed than in your domestic league, because the likes of Matt Robson, there's an example. He is an import player, but Adam, did you say last week
his mother's Welsh? I think Jono said it, didn't he?
Yeah. So technically he could have a British passport. He has got a British passport. So it's not too far removed. But he didn't train in the British junior system.
But it's like, as we know, and as we keep saying, ice hockey in this country is not well funded. No. It's a minority sport, despite it being the largest attended indoor sport in the UK. It's still a minority sport. We know it doesn't get the TV coverage it deserves and needs, and unfortunately the funding just isn't there at junior level. So if you want to be a hockey player of a decent standard, why are you not going to go to give you a go at U Sports? Why are you not going to want to go to mainland Europe and what have you, and learn your trade in these really good junior systems? But if you do that, you can't then play in the elite league as a British player. It's nonsense.
Well, there are. Sam Duggan is an example who left the junior system and went to the junior system in Sweden and was there for many years before he came back and then played for Cardiff. So there are examples of actual British players leaving the system and going to play in other countries.
I suppose the ultimate example is Liam Stewart, because
Yes.
Liam Stewart trained in North America. His dad's, we know who his dad is. His dad's
We know
Scottish.
who his mum is.
Yeah, and his mum is Australian.
He's English, Rod Stewart.
Oh, he's English. Okay, sorry, my bad. But anyway, okay, he's great at cup draws. He's British. His mum's Australian. Trained in the USA, so he was basically a ward.
Yeah, but the thing is that now this is where it gets a bit ridiculous. Is the fact that in the National League they are counted as Brits, and in the Elite League they are counted. So if Liam Stewart, I think Liam Stewart signed for Sheffield. No, but I mean, he one season in the past. I'm talking. He signed.
Oh,
for
he
Sheffield.
did, yeah.
He played at Coventry.
He played in Coventry, but he signed the
but-
following season in Sheffield,
Yeah,
but
but-
then didn't play because of the concussion.
Yeah,
thing.
but in Coventry he counted as an import, whereas in for MK he counts as Brit, and of course he obviously played for Great Britain. He played Great Britain seniors. He played under 20s and under 18s.
Yeah, well, he got dispensation, didn't he, in the end? Basically because of his circumstances, which...
I don't think he likes the Elite League for some reason, because I see several posts from him on social media where he's rather disparaging towards the Elite League.
Yeah,
So I don't think you will be seeing him anytime soon at the rinks that we generally go to watch the Panthers.
But yeah, I think, and the thing is, if the whole thing comes under one umbrella that everyone wants it to, then the rules are going to have to be the same across all the leagues.
Yeah.
Level playing field, well, level ice rink.
Yeah, joined up thinking from British Ice Hockey there. What was I going to say? Oh, it's a minimum of 5 British players, isn't it, on your squad? There we go. That sort of answers, in a roundabout way, that kind of answers all of that.
One of which is usually a backup tendy.
Yes, one of which is normally your backup netminder, if you've got any sense.
You're all right there, Paul. He's excited about what's coming next.
While we're sort of along that line, we've had a question in today. Just basically regard. I mean, we did talk about this in the last podcast. I feel Luca Sheldon. I don't want to dwell too much on it because, as I say, we did talk about Luca quite a lot last time around. But Wayne Adams asked on Facebook, as much as everyone loves Luca and he will do a lot we don't know about, do you think it would be better for his career to move on to get ice time? But the thing is, he's not going to be able to move on to another Elite League team because no other Elite League team has seen him play. Competitive hockey. He played a bit of pre-season last year, September, October, August, whenever it was. You have to have a CV. You've got to have demonstrratable capabilities before you're going to get signed. So if he's going to go anywhere, he's going to be looking at an IHL. I mean, I know a couple of seasons ago, or maybe even last season, he was putting some minutes in with the Lions. But that's not necessarily going to translate well into Elite League ice hockey.
It won't even translate easily into NIHL hockey because it's a rung below that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got. If he wants to make something of it and move on, then he's got to start at the Lions level. I think when he was back playing for them, he got injured. Which meant
yes, he did.
He couldn't.
Yeah.
Which meant he couldn't. So
yeah, we sort of had a bit of a period where we were borrowing and stealing Brits for to back us up on a road trip. Weren't
I mean,
we?
in terms of the question, if I can remember it properly, do we want him to? I don't know. Would it be best for him to move on to get more time? Yes, because. Right now, what is he? He's part of the media team. He's doing his podcast of him just thinking random things and getting people to answer him. So, yeah, he needs to move on.
Isn't that the very the very spirit of interviewing though? Thinking random things and asking them.
Not really. You have to have some sort of thought in the first place.
Oh well, that's where I'm going wrong.
As I see it, right, and I don't know his personal circumstances, I don't know what drives him, I don't know what his ambitions in the sport are, but all I would say is, if I spent so long, opening and shutting the gate at the end of a bench as a backup netminder, and I got to the end of my career and looked back, I would think, well, what did I really do in the sport of ice hockey? How did I make a difference? Did I enjoy my time? Or, maybe I've got a pang of regret that I didn't actually drop down a level or two and sort of like get game time and starts at a team. So, I think this sort of discussion is hypothetical because we don't know what Luca Sheldon wants from his hockey career. He might be perfectly happy doing what he's doing for the Panthers, and Panthers might be perfectly happy with what he gives them. And if that's the case, that will continue for the next few years. And it's almost like a bit of a marriage of convenience. But if I was Luca, and then this is just me, I would get to the end of my career, look back, look at elite prospects and see that I'd probably played about 3 or 4 games in the space of 10 years. And, as I got older in life, I'd probably look back with a bit of regret because that's a period of time where I'd want to be playing games of hockey.
Okie dokie. So, Ant has had a couple of questions fired across to him from friends directly. So we'll pick up on one of those. From Matthew, I missed Blind Rabbit games and was sad to see it not return last year. Will there be somewhere this year for away games? Jamie, you're up.
Who knows? Who knows? Eh? I'm not Jamie.
No,
Who
I
knows?
don't know.
Who
I know
knows?
you're not Jamie. I'm just saying. Our very good host, Jamie at Bunkers Hill.
I know Jamie would love to get something going. It just depends on, again, it's money, innit? Whether the ownership or put something in. It was a surprise to me that the partnership with the Blind Rabbit didn't carry on last season, because it always seemed to be well talked about, and we certainly had, looking mainly at Adam here, we certainly had a fair few really good days in there before the hockey, haven't we? But and they sell Miller in bottles, which is a rare thing, which would be great for me. But it would be nice to have. Would it stop me from going to away games? No, but having somewhere local in Nottingham, showing the games where you could get together with your pals and then potentially meet other, friends of other teams and stuff like that as well. And fans, we've got a massive fan base now ourselves, haven't we? As in the Panthers. So, yeah, it would be good, I think. But it depends on, pubs aren't going to put it on. If you only get like 5 people and a dog in, you're going to spend most of your time playing with a dog instead of watching the hockey, aren't you?
So the one thing I would say about that is, there are some rinks around and arenas around the country where it is getting harder and harder to get a ticket for away games.
I was just going to say, you put it on for Cardiff games, given that they only give 5 tickets for the away allocation.
Exactly.
And I'm not paying those prices.
No. But I think it's sort of, you look at the growth in crowds at teams around the Elite League, and most are filling their rinks and arenas. Obviously, Manchester have got a big job to do this year, but the crowds are really, really going in the right direction and trending upwards, and that's great. But it means that it's going to be harder and harder, perhaps, for away fans to get tickets to watch their team on the road. So I think that makes it imperative that Panthers enter into a deal, strike a deal with a local pub, wherever it is, that's big enough to get everyone in that wants to actually watch a Panthers road game.
I think the thing is as well is because of the growth of the fan base and the amount of people that want to probably go and watch away games in a room or in a pub or whatever, you're probably going to need somewhere quite big. I think you're probably looking at somewhere maybe like the Nest.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, it's probably going to be quite a big area to fit the amount of people who want to see it.
I'm not actually sure, because I mean the thing is we've spent so long getting together for webcasts now that I think a lot of people just get together with their friends and their family, and there's lots of little pockets. And I mean, I mean for me personally, I live in Hucknall. I'm not really inclined to take a half an hour tram journey to go and watch a game versus driving to my mates who live like Mapley Gedling way and going and sitting watching it there enjoying the comfort of their sofa. I don't know if that's what I want to do. It would take me. I think it would take me a while to get out of that mindset and into the mindset.
I actually prefer sometimes to watch the games by myself, so I can have a rant and throw things around and not get criticised for not supporting my team.
And not chucking Guinness on the ceiling.
Yeah, well, there's that. That's different.
That was football.
that was Jude Bellingham's over at kick Tina. Come on.
Well, regardless, there is still ceiling.
But yeah,
there's still a ceiling that's splattered with Guinness because of ants and sporks.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But yeah, but Blind Rabbit was, it was spoken about quite well. And I know when back before when the Legend was opened, they used to get a decent crowd in for watching away games as well. So there's obviously a want for it. There's a thirst for it, if you like, for there. But for me, and this is just me spitballing ideas out here, if I'm the Panthers and I am entering into an agreement with an establishment to screen away games, I'd go all in. I'd have like ex-players or injured players at that screening, as well as to be part and parcel of the whole thing. I think if you're going to do it properly. Don't just have it like you walking into a pub and watching Man United against Liverpool. It's Nottingham Panthers, and as part of it, you've got Chris Ellis there, just doing an interview with a former player or something like that. I think that would add to it. Jono's waving at me saying, "Why can't I do it?" This is like, but most of the time, Jono, you'll be like commentating on bowls or something on your off days. So you're probably not available. Why weren't you there doing GB's webcasts? Why did I have to listen to two guys from America who spent most of the time talking about English slang?
Because they're contracted and paid a lot of money.
They were quite good, though, to be fair to it.
But I think, going back to what you said, I mean, when I worked at Forest Fan Zone, it was a similar, but obviously that was pre-game, so you had the crowd there, but massive stage, massive screen, interviewing former I mean, I met so many of the European Cup winning team when I was doing that it was great.
I mean, not to pile more onto Sam Hurst, for instance, who seems like she's doing really well. She's working with Sky
That's how I
Sports
met
now,
Sam for the first time. I worked with her at the Fans Day.
Is that not like an ideal thing for her to do?
Yeah, exactly.
It can get involved in doing something like that. That for me is the thing that I'd want to be looking at is getting not only just getting the game on, but then having something else with it, and that would make me more inclined, Tina, to not go round to me pals, but to go down to town and go to the pub and watch it.
Yeah, no, the one thing I would say is that if you're going to put a player in there, then that then causes a distraction. For me, that wouldn't encourage me to go, because I think, and we've talked about this in our WhatsApp groups and what have you, there just seems to be this rising attitude of fans feeling like they're entitled to access to players, and I think something like that, yes, it would encourage people to go, but not necessarily for the right reasons. So I think I think if you're going to put a game on, yes, have other things with it. Get somebody like Sam involved. By all means, get Jono involved. Get him doing what, something.
Mute the screen, I'll commentate.
Yeah. Mute the screen and get Jono commentating instead. But I think having a player there, or injured players, or players who've been scratched for whatever reason, or old former players or whatever, I think you just ask him. Yeah,
but if it was former players, then most of the new fan base wouldn't be there because they wouldn't have a clue who Paul Lady is, for instance. Whereas like us, not even me. I mean, Paul Lady was before my time, but I know there's at least 3 people sat around this table that would be banging on that door waiting to be let in if Paul Lady was around. Although Jono's worked with him several times, but
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea in theory, but you've got to make sure if you're putting a game on, you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're getting people to go there for the right reasons.
But I mean, I have a dream.
Oh God!
Sorry, Amal. But it's like, wouldn't it be great? It's like if you're, like when you're watching like big tournament games in other sports, and it cuts to fan parks, and you see the reaction of the fans and stuff like that. I know you wouldn't do that on, like, say, if you're a Cardiff Devils webcast, you wouldn't want to see a bunch of Panthers fans celebrating. But how good would it be into period breaks? Just have a quick video from the Nottingham Panthers fan zone or pub or whatever, and there's 50, 60, 70 people there crammed around watching the game.
Well, that's social media content, isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly. So, that's the world we live in now, isn't it? Because everybody's got a 20-second attention span. So.
I mean, if nothing else, what Ant was alluding to there, if nothing else, it would teach the new fans and all this, that, and the other a bit of history. So, so you've got player X, Y, Z, or Paul Lady in. I mean, show them who these people are. Show them that this is our past, our collective past. I mean, there's enough ex-players still living in Nottingham who could be brought in. Or, you've got a video link there. You go live, you have a Teams call or whatever with player X.
Well, they
Y,
did
or Z
that, didn't
from-
they? When they replayed the playoff final last summer at the Nest, and I think they had a video linked to Sam Hare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be done.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and it wouldn't take.
I'm going to say plug the book.
It would take a lot of organising and stuff. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if you've not already bought Paul Baum's book, please do so. Books, please do so, because that if you are interested in your Panthers history, you'll gain a lot from them as well. But it would be great, getting to hear from, explain, like you say, there's Corey lives locally, doesn't he? What, yeah. So there's like he's already said, Mark Levers. I think he's, Simon Hunt. You've got a lot of,
Well, to be fair, you might struggle to get Mark Levers on the Saturday because he plays cricket, doesn't he, Adam?
Who's that, sorry?
Mark Levers.
I don't know whether he plays league cricket. He certainly played midweek cricket, but we haven't
Yeah,
played
but you'd
the
hope
team
him
he
we'd
plays
not-
for a few years now.
You'd hope we'd be playing at home on Saturday most of the times anyway, wouldn't you? And we're talking Sunday games and Friday games, really, aren't we? But I mean,
A few fours.
Yeah. But I mean, like, we know the cost of the cost of living comes into this as well. It's just like, I would love to go to each and every away game. I love my away games. I love the away trips, in particular the Belfasts, the trips we've had to Alty, especially. I love it up in Scotland. But it's getting to the point now where it's not quite financially viable to be going on these all the time as much as I'd love to. So having somewhere to go where you could meet up with your pals and still have a bit of that banter that you would get on that road trip, it would be a massive plus for me. But I think we've spoken enough on this now.
A bit like the Swiss flag. A bit like the Swiss flag. It's a big
It's got
plus.
a big plus.
Good Lord.
And on that note,
Yeah, and on that dad joke bombshell, gentlemen, we've definitely talked an awful lot of hockey. Our mate Paul Radford's going to have a doozy when he gets to this one, while he's busy taking the one ring back to Mordor.
I think he might actually do this one on the way to up Everest. So
Paul told me the other day that he's caught up now, so it's a good job that we're putting a new podcast out, because it's essential walking material for him.
Yeah,
And Kate Funnell will be having a damn long run.
I was going to say, yeah, Kay, this will get you through a 10K, mate. This is definitely sorting you out this time round. Right, gentlemen, we will reconvene at a suitable time. Hopefully there's not too much going on between now and the next time. I've got my summer festival season is about to hit, and Adam's already fully invested in cricket season, so time is short, but
and there's a certain World Cup starting on Thursday, which
is
me and
there?
Adam were talking about, and we're really not that. It's just weird, isn't it? We're in a build up to the biggest tournament in the world, and there's not anybody I know that's remotely excited about it.
Murica.
Maybe Paul Baum, because he actually made me be able to get up and stay up for all the games and stuff.
Oh, the retired life.
Damn you, FIFA, you've ruined it for everybody.
Right. Thank you very much for sticking with this one, guys. We apparently had a lot to talk about. We will be back. We'll let you know, and hopefully this time it'll be a first time. We'll get it right first time. And
I agree with Aaron.
Shh. That's a surprise for next time, hopefully. So from Jono,
Good night.
from Ant,
Take care, everybody.
from Paul,
Cheers, buy the book, and it's still on sale, so buy the book.
from Adam.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much once again. We'll see you next time. TTFN.